Welcome to ACP, the Amazon Connect podcast. This is the show that focuses on Amazon Connect and related technologies. I'm your host, Tom Morgan, and I'm joined as usual by my co-host, AWS Solution Architect and Contact Center Consultant, Alex Baker. Find out more about Cloud Interact by visiting us at cloudinteract.io.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. The first morning of Enterprise Connect. We got a great show. You guys know all the exciting stuff that's going on in this industry, and you're going to see it all this week here on the stage, in the session rooms, and of course, most of all on the show floor. So
it's time for another ACP, and it's a special one this week. Apologies if you were hoping to hear all about PCI compliance. We are going to get to that on the next episode. We are sliding into your podcast with a special episode because today is the first day of Enterprise Connect. Well, in fact, yesterday was the first day of Enterprise Connect, but time zones are on our side, so it means we can talk about it now. Alex is with me. Hello, Alex.
Hi, Tom.
And we are going to go through some of the announcements from Enterprise Connect kind of as they pertain to Amazon Connect, because there have been quite a few of them. So I'm going to say right off the bat, this is not a well-polished and prepared episode. We have some notes, but this is very much breaking as we're recording it. We were texting each other this morning to say, actually, look at all this stuff. We should do an episode. So we shunted all the other episodes forward by one to get this one together. But there's going to be some stuff we don't know, and I think that's okay. We'll talk about that, and over time we will kind of fill in the gaps. Alex, where do you want to start with some of the announcements?
Yeah, well, I was going to ask you first. Have you been to Enterprise Connect? So we should probably say a bit about.
That's a good shout, actually. That's a really good idea. I've never been to Enterprise Connect. It is, I guess, how would you describe it? I would say it's the platform agnostic technology show about contact centers and contact center technology. Is that fair?
Yeah,
I'm only saying
I think
agnostic.
I think possibly sort of UC as well, is it? I haven't been myself. Love to. It sounds like it would be really good.
Yeah, it's run by the same people that do No Jitter. If you know of that, it's like an online sort of website of news and stuff that's been going for forever. I know Amazon are there, Google are there, Microsoft are there, Zoom are there, Avaya will be, like all the big players will be there. It's quite often a place for announcements. Like technology firms like to announce at events, like they like to get people up on stage and talk about things. So in the sort of calendar of things, it is a place to look out for announcements. And so we're seeing some of those from Amazon, and we'll see them probably from other providers as well throughout the week.
Yeah, and I guess it seems like, because you've obviously got reInvent, right, which is at the end of the year, which is always a massive source of new releases and feature updates for AWS as a whole, and Amazon Connect as a part of that. But it does seem, from what I can see, that Enterprise Connect is sort of regarded quite highly by Amazon as well, because they do seem to be announcing some cool stuff.
Definitely.
Like you say, they have a big presence there.
It's a good time for them as well, because they're so far away from reInvent. Like you've got that gap, so it's a good time to bring out news items now before it gets into the summer quiet period. And it's in Florida as well, so it's kind of a nice place to go and send all your execs and meet all your customers and partners.
I was going to say, definitely put my hand up for next year if we can.
Next year, ACP booth will be interviewing everybody. Like listeners, you just need to make it happen. Like.
We'll expect your support for that in the comments. Definitely.
There you go. We'll start a Patreon or something to like get us to Enterprise Connect. Anyway, yes. So that is what Enterprise Connect is. It's running all this week. So actually, as we're recording this on the Tuesday of Enterprise Connect, so there's all of Tuesday because of time zones. There's also Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So we're really talking about what came out on the first day, the Monday, which is often the day when companies kind of drop all their announcements because they tend to have everything embargoed, and then they release all the blog posts as Enterprise Connect starts, and then they have the sessions throughout the week to discuss it, fill in the gaps, add the color, etc., etc. So we do have some announcements. There may be more, and we can cover those in the news section of future episodes, I think.
It's another good point. It does, because of the way we've shoehorned in this recording, it might mean that some of the news sections in some of the other podcasts we've already recorded kind of don't make sense in the order in which they appear now. But
Yes,
never
great
mind,
point.
we're
Great point.
reacting on the exciting stuff that's coming
Mm,
out of Enterprise Connect, so I'm sure that's
yes,
fine.
definitely. So where should we start?
The first one on my list is third-party app support for the Agent Workspace. So first
Okay.
of all, the Agent Workspace is the native unified agent application that provides agents with all of the information they need, basically. So contact information, customer information, potentially AI recommendations, things like voice ID, so biometric identification confirmation. I think we've probably used the
Hmm,
term single pane of glass
of
in the
course.
past, but yeah,
Yeah.
if you will, it's that sort of single pane of glass for the agent, and where they kind of focus their day, really.
And that's provided by Amazon Connect, the agent workspaces. And the idea is that agents use that alongside the kind of soft phone capabilities they have to take calls in and make calls out. This is kind of additional functionality. So, like, I'm thinking things like cases and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Is that
absolutely.
right? Yeah.
And it kind of becomes their soft phone. So previously there was the CCP, the contact
Hmm.
control panel, which was the, I guess, functional but slightly basic sort of soft phone only. Agent Workspace gives you the CCP functionality for your call controls and everything, but like you say, all of the other, as Amazon bring in these other parts of the suite, you mentioned cases, customer profiles. This is the home for those as far as an agent sees it.
Got it. Got it. And then this announcement is saying not just the stuff that Amazon are putting in, not just the first party stuff. They're going to allow third parties to add stuff into that as well.
Yeah, and this is the general availability of that, right? So
Mm,
there has been a preview since, I believe, around October
mm,
time.
hmm.
This is the GA of it. So yeah, bringing in that third party app support within the workspace. So allowing you to take existing applications, maybe CRM tools or order management systems, and you can iframe them into the agent workspace. And it's like I say, it's been in preview for a few months. It seems during that time it's kind of been tested by those early adopters and polished a bit. One of the things that's apparently been added during the preview, according to the documentation, is event support. And that means that the embedded third party apps will be able to access the events happening as a part of a contact. So it should
Mm,
allow you to do things like have your application, that third party application, react to events like maybe the contact being connected or the agent changing their state. And it
that's
should
cool.
also allow you to surface any attributes that you've written during the course of the contact. So in your IVR, perhaps the customer might have entered an order number or some details that presumably would allow you to do things like driving a CRM lookup.
Got it. Got it. So if you're, I guess the call to action here is if you've got a big contact center or even a small contact center, but you already know you have third party software, third party integrations, go check them out. Go see if they've got something now for the agent workspace that might be useful to add, or imagine they'll be coming to you as well, because I suppose this stuff is not going to just turn on by itself, is it? It's going to be something that needs configuring. So you're going to go to your third party will come to you, or you'll go to them and say, hey, we do have this integration we could put into your agent workspace for your agents if you want it. Are you interested? This is how it works, and then look to roll it out.
Yeah, there's support for some of the third-party applications that you might expect. So, for example,
Mhm.
and no sort of specific bias towards Salesforce. I know we've mentioned it in the past, but Salesforce is
Mhm.
one that does seem to have some support quite often for these kind of connections and
Mhm.
connectivity. There are some others that are mentioned. So we've got some apps from Verint, from Julica, and also Neuroflash
Mhm.
that apparently will work in Amazon Connect at launch. So Julica, just taking that one as an example, do a great suite of sort of BI and reporting dashboards.
Mhm.
So I think it could be quite cool to be able to see that within the agent portal surface some kind of agent dashboard to the agent just so they can get a picture of what's going on in the contact center, how many calls are queuing, that kind of information.
That's nice. So yes, go pester your third parties for integrations to the Agent Workspace if you don't already have them, because that stuff's GA now, so there's no excuse.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right. I guess maybe some of it's sort of easier plug and play type functionality, but it looks like some of the stuff that I mentioned, like the event support, there's probably a little bit more development required behind the scenes in order to take advantage of that. So yeah, definitely go and talk to your dev team or to your chosen partner about that.
Yeah, and it's interesting to sort of see Connect taking the approach to integration with third parties in two different ways and pushing forward both of them separately. And what I mean by that is, like, you can take the CCP and put it into places. So you could build essentially your own Agent Workspace and put the CCP into it, or you can take their one and put your third party content into that as well. And they seem to be pushing forward both approaches equally, which is nice, because different people, different requirements, different solutions.
Yeah, definitely. And I guess some people may not have the appetite to sort of fully develop their own desktop. The nice thing about the agent application is that it gives you that great starting point. And I think this allows for that. You have a pre-built agent application that you can add all of these out of the box things to. But yeah, you can now bring in those third-party apps as well, which is, I think, it could be really powerful. Looking forward to diving into some actual customer use cases around this.
Yeah, definitely. So that's cool. So that's now GA. You can go and get it. Excellent.
Next one. Yep.
Yeah.
The next one, this is also the feature is now GA. It was in preview. This one is generative AI contact summarization. And
of course it's AI.
Of course it's Gen AI. Yeah. How could we not have some of that? The feature uses Gen AI and is powered under the hood by AWS's Bedrock service, and it uses Bedrock to create short and concise post-contact summaries of customer conversations. So it sounds like a really nice addition, this one. Let's think of a use case. So for example, a lot of our customers, they will say that their agents take something between maybe 10 seconds and up to a couple of minutes or more to sort of wrap up after the end of a call. And that part of that might be sort of writing a summary of what happened in the call, any outcomes or any actions that might have been taken. What this should do is it should do that automatically for the agent. So I can see there's a nice kind of demonstrable saving of time against every contact, where you're saving the agent that time that they would use to summarize the conversation they just had.
Yeah, absolutely. And give better quality data as well in the wrap up, potentially not, but potentially, like, you imagine overworked agents, kind of the summaries may not always be the best. At least this way there's a good start, and then they can review and edit them as needed.
Yeah, and it should be consistent, right? So I guess if you're having multiple different agents wrapping things up potentially in their own styles, that might be somewhat open to interpretation. At least this should keep that consistency across all of those, the contact summaries. It's also, interestingly, it's claimed in the admin docs that there are some sort of inherent controls implemented by Bedrock to enforce safety and security. So I imagine there's probably some quite cleverly thought out prompt engineering going on in the background there. For example, I was having a play with it yesterday, and it does seem to automatically leave out any PII type data. So the summary will refer to the agent and the customer rather than including names. It will also, or it seems to, remove anything like specific payment details, anything specific PII. It does seem to just remove that, leave it out of the summary.
That's interesting. It'd be interesting to see how that works in different scenarios, whether it's completely foolproof or whether there are some use cases, where it's tricky, isn't it? Like, it's one person's PI is sometimes not another person's PI as well. So yeah,
that will be an interesting thing, won't it? And I wonder if people are already sort of playing with it and trying to fool it, and how we saw with some of the AI chatbots recently, where you could say certain things to them which took it totally off script and made it say, potentially damaging things. It would be interesting to see how this copes with that kind of use.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know if you have had the chance to look into this yet. I was wondering how configurable it is in terms of, is it you sort of just turn it on and that's it? I know you said that it uses Bedrock. I'm wondering if you get the opportunity to sort of uncover, like open that black box a little bit and see what model it's using, maybe even change the model, add some, like you kind of might imagine you might want to fine tune it a little bit with like, these are my products in my catalog, these are keywords in our industry, whatever.
From what I've seen, yeah, I haven't played with it for too long. This one, it seems to be sort of out of the box, easy to switch on
Hmm.
functionality. So
Hmm.
you do, first of all, you do need to be running contact lens to do your post contact analysis. So that's a prerequisite of having, as you'd imagine, really, this post contact summary. But in terms of turning it on, if you've already got contact lens turned on, it's in the same recording and analytics box in your contact flows. And it's just a single tick box to enable the summary. So it is really easy to set up.
Nice.
The other thing that's quite pleasing from what I can tell is that it's included within the contact lens usage cost. So it doesn't appear that there's any additional charge for this, which is nice. It's kind of, if you're using contact lens, great. Here's another really useful function for it, which is really good news.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's really good. I'm just looking at the announcement text because it talks about using contact lens to submit evaluation, so to do sort of summarizations, but also outcomes and action items. Is like that's what contact lens already does. It'll be interesting to see whether that comes into the summary as well, or whether it's more of a cut and dried, like this is what happened. I don't know. We'll have
Yeah,
to wait and see.
I'm definitely interested in seeing this and seeing some volume of data through it and then having a look at what comes out in those summaries. Yeah, like you say, to some extent, contact lens is picking up on those actions and outcomes and that kind of thing. How is that always reflected in the summary?
Yes. And I kind of, this is, I'm a sort of developer, right? So I'm always kind of looking for the opportunities. And this is probably a bit too much to hope for, but maybe next, but like I'm just taking the first thing we talked about and the second thing we talked about. It would be amazing if there was an event, you could have an integration in workspaces, agent workspaces that is event driven to be like, I've made the summary now, because I would take that and then take it automatically into the CRM without asking the agent to do it. If I had, if I'd written my third party integration for Agent Workspaces, if that was an event. Now, when you announce two things like that at the same time, it is a lot to ask to expect them to work together straight out the box, because it's two different product teams working kind of not quite in isolation, but like, yeah, two product teams working on their own thing. So we might have to wait for that, but that'd be interesting to follow up.
Yeah, no, actually, there's an interesting point. But I think there are there's some events going on behind the scenes which would allow you to do that, even if it's
Hmm.
not in itself sort of tick box functionality. I believe it's something that would be exposed in the event bridge stream. So there would be an
Okay.
event to say that the summary's been generated. That summary
Hmm.
text is written to the analysis file. So yes, I don't see why you couldn't have a Lambda function off the back of that event, which could then write your summary to your CRM or something like that.
Hmm. That's cool.
The other thing that I think could be quite interesting is where you've got that summary written to the raw data, the raw analysis file. It would be really good to maybe look at doing sort of summaries of summaries, if that makes sense. So you have the
Hmm.
summary data, which is a lot more concise than your full contact trans. What can we do with further sort of analysis and maybe Gen AI summarization to say these are all the calls over a certain time period for a particular customer? Are there any interesting trends that we can see just from
Hmm.
summarizing those summaries, if that makes sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And gosh, yeah, not even just across that customer, but like customers who brought this product or this type of product, like the returns aren't high, but there's a ton of support calls when people buy this particular product, and they are all about whatever it is, can't work out how to turn it on or something. Yeah, really interesting.
Yeah, great. As usual, it's another excellent and interesting sort of source of raw data that you could put into your data lake and do some interesting. analysis and get some insights on, I'm sure.
Yep, no, absolutely. Okay, cool. What else? What else?
Where are we? So we've done the third-party apps in the Agent Workspace. We've talked about the Gen AI powered post-contact summaries. The next one on the list was Amazon Connect allows you to create rich, interactive chat experiences for customers using step-by-step guides. This one I haven't had a chance to play with or anything, so let's just sort of take a look through some of the documentation.
Okay.
This is sort of building on the existing step-by-step guide functionality, which is it's another thing that you can build into that agent workspace. So it allows it's kind of a low or no code solution which allows you to use the Connect portal and put in place some step-by-step guides, as the name implies, based on events in your contact flows that give the agent some sort of context specific information. So, for
Okay.
example, if a call comes in, let's say a aeroplane ticket booking queue, the step-by-step guides could guide the agent through the process of the customer making the booking.
Okay. And so it's that same kind of experience for not agents, but for customers. So presumably this is customers hitting like the chatbot via the kind of communications widget. Is that right?
Yeah. So, coming into an Amazon Connect chat interaction, yes, potentially via the widget that you can sort of deploy a fairly out of the box version of it with a little snippet of code from your Connect instance,
Mm-hmm.
or you can go sort of full all out develop your own.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's just have a look at some more of the docs around this. So we've got the feature helps you resolve end customer issues faster by gathering and transferring context to your agents. So you can present the
I
same
see.
guide that you built for your agents to end customers. Better
Oh, I
configuration management.
see.
So
Right. Okay, that's cool. Yes. So in your example previously, let me see if I understand this, where you had the step-to-step guide by agents, it might have been when they want to book a plane ticket, you need to ask them for their passport number, their first, their last name, their date of birth, all the things, right? This is moving that to let's get the chatbot to ask the customer before they get to the agent, so the agent doesn't have to do it.
yes, that's what it seems like. Yeah, it's taking that, and why wouldn't they? I guess so. You've got
Absolutely.
this rich kind of process flow management setup within Connect. Actually, it does make total sense to expose that to the customer, doesn't it? So if
It
you
does.
want to try and sort of try for more automation on some of your flow journeys, this sounds like a great way to do that.
I'm all in for this. I want this to come to voice as well. Like you know what I mean? Like when I do finally get connected to somebody, I just don't want to have that whole conversation about like, what's your number, confirm this, confirm that. Like you just want to get straight into, especially if this can happen whilst you're queuing and take off some of that queue time. I mean, you're waiting the same amount of time. It just doesn't feel like it. I don't know if that's true, but yeah, I had a really good contact center experience yesterday actually with a company who I think knew who I was based on my number, like my inbound calling number. So they just asked me to confirm some things, and like I didn't have to read out a massive policy number, and they confirmed asked me to confirm a few things and then confirmed back to me that I was talking about this vehicle and all that sort of stuff. It was a really good experience.
Yeah, it's nice when you do happen across those good
Mm.
experiences, isn't it? And you feel like it's quite a frictionless, seamless transaction. Did
Mm.
you did you manage to do everything via automation, or was it just it sort of took some
No,
details and then
it was
connected you to
all
some?
no, yeah, it was all agent led. Actually, that it wasn't that would have benefited from this. I think in that case where it felt like the agent was pretty confident who I was anyway, based on my number. They just had to confirm who I was. I wasn't coming in completely cold. Like that, they were asking me to confirm some things. So yeah, I think they already knew who I was. In that case, it would have been great if that could have been done automatically, because it would have saved a bit of time on the front of the call. But
Yeah,
yeah.
it's nice though, isn't it, when you feel like they at least know something about you and that it is Tom, or that they're at least
Mm.
trying to determine that rather than starting the call with the agent right from the get go and trying to
That
identify you.
Yeah, exactly. No, exactly. So that was nice. Yeah.
Let's see what else have we got about the no code chat experiences. Anything else to pull out about that one? So we've got, for example, offering an end customer options for potential issues they're trying to solve on their own. So yeah, that sort of
Mm.
automation type take on it. Or if a customer calls an agent about a product return, the agent could push a step-by-step flow delivered via chat. That's quite interesting as
Oh,
well,
that's
potentially.
cool.
So having a kind of multi-channel angle to it.
Yeah, almost like a
It's
mix and match. It's like you do get through to an agent, and it's the agent that figures out, oh, you want to return the product, pushes a button, and then almost hands off the process of doing that.
Yeah, that's
Sounds like.
well, we talked a bit about sort of ensuring consistency, didn't we, with the Gen AI summarization? This I can see also helping with that, right? So
Mm.
you have a fairly defined process for a customer providing certain information or having to take certain steps. Being able to automate that in this way definitely sounds like it could be quite a time saver and make
Yeah.
things more consistent.
Yeah, definitely. I think this will go down really well with organizations actually as a middle ground between full automation where like we haven't seen like we've seen some companies resistant to fully automating and chatbotting the whole experience because of the risk of like customer sat going down because the bot isn't smart enough to figure out what's going on and people getting stuck in loops and not understanding. This is a nice halfway house of like it's semi-automated, but there's still an agent watching over it that can jump in. Like it's automating a bit of it, but with guardrails. So I think this will go. I think this will be really popular.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, and another one that I'm interested to get hands on with and put some real customer use cases, get them involved. We should probably move on to what I think is the final announcement that we need to discuss,
Mm.
and that is around the it's sort of fully automating the fill and submission of agent evaluations. So we've seen, and this is around the sort of QA or QM type functionality that you get from the Amazon Connect contact evaluation forms. The idea being that you can listen to or view the details of a contact, and whilst you're doing that, you've got a native form where you can go through and you can score the agent on whatever criteria you set. So did they say a certain compliance phrase that they must say, or did they greet the customer or end the call with the company approved way of doing that? We've seen a bit of automation creep into that. So you could, if we take the compliance phrase example, you can set up rules in Connect to allow contact lens to determine whether the agent has said that particular compliance phrase. And then in turn, in the evaluation form, you can say, did contact lens detect that compliance phrase was said?
Mm.
If so, great, we passed that part of the form. If not, that's an automatic fail. So
Mm.
you're immediately taking away the time for probably the quality analyst or the supervisor and starting to automate that form filling. Now, this latest one is around that sort of fully automated fill and submission of the whole evaluation form. So whereas before it was you could get certain sections automated, it sounds like this is taking it that next step further, and it will do the whole thing based on all your criteria and sections that you define in the form, and also it will submit the evaluation for you. So that sounds
Wow.
pretty interesting
I
as
mean,
well.
100% evaluation is huge. Like if it's, yeah, that can be fully automated so that every interaction across every agent is evaluated. I think that's going to be really big.
Yeah, for sure. And we've got some customers at the moment where I think their QM process is it's a bit of a pain point for them, and it's very manual, and they have a lot of people who are purely dedicated to even the very basics of it, right? So going through and finding the calls that they want to evaluate, even that's quite a manual process. So they might pick certain calls that it appears the call duration is between, say, 2 minutes and 10 minutes. They might pick a bunch of calls for a particular agent, and they might find out that actually of that 3 minute call, the customer was on hold for 2 minutes, so it's not
Mm.
really a good candidate for evaluation. So it's
Mm.
being able to firstly cut out that manual work of having to target the contacts to evaluate in the first place, get rid of that, but this takes it that next mile, doesn't it? It's kind of doing the whole
Does.
thing automatically.
And it gets you the consistency as well that you need to look at it over the long term, as well. Like collecting the same information and storing it in a very consistent way means that in, a year's time, you can do agent performance reviews across a year's worth of calls in a consistent way. That's really interesting.
Agreed. I feel like we've mentioned consistency quite a bit. So it seems like some of these announcements are really really helping that out.
Yeah.
And the other thing that's worth mentioning again is that because we're capturing all of the data natively about the contact evaluations, we have that raw data behind the scenes which we can put into our data lake, and we can start to draw those insights from. We can put together some dashboards around agent performance, compliance, that kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely. And like just looking across these announcements, it feels, and we don't know, it does feel a little bit like these are coming directly from asks from customers and big customers probably, and they're sort of, Amazon Connect are responding to those like requests for just looking down the list of things. Like the consistency thing is key at scale, right? So some of these things, they feel like asks from the enterprise.
Definitely, I'm sure Amazon always say they're the most customer focused, customer centric company in the world, and I think also excited to say that we've got some guests coming up fairly soon who might be able to elaborate on this. But I'm pretty confident you're right, and I'm sure you're right. A lot of this has come from genuine customer demand. We mentioned that a couple of the services had been in preview, and I'm sure that during those previews they will have taken real customer feedback, having used it in production probably, and they will have made the changes, and the GA version of it that we're seeing now is based off that feedback.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Okay. I think that's all the big announcements we know about to date, if I'm not entirely mistaken. I'm sure there will be other things that come out across, the rest of Enterprise Connect, but those are the kind of the big headlines, I think, from certainly day one and the start of the conference. So if there is other stuff, we will follow up in sort of future episodes. We'll do that kind of news thing. But really interested to know what you will think as well about these announcements, about, were they what you were looking for? Was there anything, you thought they should have announced that they didn't? Do you vehemently disagree with any of these things, or how do you think they're going to help? Would love to hear from you either on LinkedIn, or you can always email us at podcast@cloudinteract.io. This has been a special episode for Enterprise Connect. Thank you very much, Alex, for making the time in what I know is a busy schedule, and also you having holiday starting tomorrow. So we kind of cram this one in, and you've got 1,000,001 things to do. But thanks very much. I think it was worthwhile. Next time on ACP, I promise we are going to get to talk to the CEO of Sequence Shift, Dimitri Muntean, about PCI compliance with Amazon Connect. So be sure to subscribe in your favorite podcast player. That way you won't miss it. Whilst you're there, we'd love it if you would rate and review us. And as a new podcast, if you have colleagues that you think would benefit from this content, please let them know. To find out more about how Cloud Interact can help you on your contact center journey, visit cloudinteract.io. We're wrapping this call up now, and we'll connect with you next time.